and welcome everyone to the Wood from the Trees with myself, David Cuddy, and my sister Martina, my sister Linda, my sister Sharon, and my sister Elizabeth. After I done the one with the lads, all the women were there. Have you not got sisters? What's the story with the sisters? We need to have the sisters on. So I was able to get all the sisters on, but we're sharing a mic, me and Sharon.
We are, David.
Sharon doesn't share well.
I know she doesn't. She's always been really bad to share, but we'll get to that. So I suppose want to let everyone know who you are. You're my older sisters, and who's the oldest sister?
I'm the oldest.
That's Elizabeth.
I'm next.
And there's Martina,
Then Linda.
and then
The baby that doesn't share.
Girl, Sharon.
Sharon. So when you were younger, growing up in our house, right? We obviously weren't born. Me, Gareth, Greg. You were living in a different house. It was up
The
what we
old
call
house.
the old house. So I'll start with you, Martina. What was your earliest memories when you were younger?
Okay, I suppose Daddy had the lorry when we were small, and my earliest memories would be him coming home every evening and bringing us Skittles and Banjos.
It's a banjo.
Banjo was a bar that's gone off the market, a chocolate bar. And he used to bring every one of us home something every evening, and Mammy a bag of Scots clans.
That was every evening.
Most
Every evening.
evenings, yeah.
Most evenings.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah,
There was 8 of us then. So it was 4
In the-
banjos
in the old
and
house.
4
In the-
Skittles.
yeah. In the old house, yeah. It
What was it like back then?
was lovely. We had great fun.
And he used to have a horn on his lorry, and he'd put it on at the end of the lane. Now, at the end of the bottom of our lane. And he'd put it on, and then we'd all know he was coming, and we'd all run out, and we'd wait for her Skittles and her banjo.
Jeez, the teeth must have been rotten out of your head by the time you...
No, we used to brush our teeth, David.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Do you remember it the same way, Elizabeth?
I do, yeah. It was a very busy house now. Very, very busy house because I suppose there was 8 kids, 2 bedrooms and a kitchen, you know.
That was
so
a
it
small
was a
house.
it was a very, very busy house.
We all lived very
We
cosily.
lived happily though there. Yeah. And cosily.
And can you remember all that?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
What age would... Say, Elizabeth, you're the oldest. What age would you have been when we moved out of that house?
Well, you were born when we moved into the new house and I was 17.
So you lived most of your...
I lived till I
Childhood.
was nearly 17 in that house, yeah. And
Jeez.
reared you then.
You did.
Change your nappies, David.
I think so
Change your
in
nappies,
all
yeah.
families, the
First
older
half.
siblings, in big families.
Yeah.
But back then you wouldn't have thought it was a big family because every one of our cousins and everyone had big families.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we lived next door to Daddy's home place where Mammy's sister and Daddy's brother were married down there, and they had 5 kids. And I suppose we used to walk down the fields nearly every day, and we'd meet in the middle. We'd play outside. There was 8 of us and there was 5 of them. So we had more people to play in than we would have had in school.
Yeah. Rolling down the hills and doing simple things. Yeah.
And did you have to do any farm work?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa. Right, we'll break that up because you all said that one time. Start with Elizabeth. Elizabeth, your typical day.
My typical day. Well, we'd have to do feed pigs, milk a cow every day. We'd have to get water from the well and
Yeah.
bring that up.
We
But
had
there's no running water in
There was
the
no
house?
No.
running water in the house. No,
I remember
They'd bring
that.
buckets of water from the well. Yeah. You know, and there was a barrel outside as well that was catching the water to,
Rainwater.
you know, rainwater. Yeah. So, no, it was tough enough going
And
now,
that was
you know.
your
But
day?
it was, pardon?
That was your day.
Well, it wasn't always my day, but Sean used to do it as well.
Used to take
Sean and
turns.
myself used to do the jobs up in the back, like in where the shed was and all that. But you see, we were a nice little bit older than,
The rest of us.
you know, the rest, yeah. You know, like there's 2 years between myself and Martina.
I got away with murder.
Martina got away with a little bit
So
less.
did I.
And Sharon,
Yeah.
you
she
did not.
nothing.
Not until I moved down to the new house, then I was killed.
She took over when I left.
And what was your typical day, man?
I didn't do much outside. I used to follow everybody around. I used to bring in turf. That was my
Yes.
job.
Yeah.
Linda?
I used to bring water up from the well and maybe mind the chaps. You know, like if you were there, you'd have 1 or 2 there that you'd have with you. That's it.
You were too small, Sharon.
We used to mind her.
I don't remember a lot of them things.
Sharon used to keep running away. Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember blowing the horn in the lorry and me running down to meet him down the lane, but I don't remember because Greg was small at that time.
Yeah, he was.
Do you know? So I don't.
And Barry.
They were just babies.
Yeah.
Mm.
But we used to go out at night time and we'd all go out in the dark and we'd be playing outside in the field and we'd make jumps and we'd play out of anything, and there was a tire with a big tree out the back. We'd be climbing trees all the time. I mean, what we used to do, you wouldn't let your kids do now.
No. Walking
And
walls.
we'd be gone
yeah.
or we would be out. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we'd just be gone. We'd come back in when we were hungry.
So when I was born, you moved into
Yeah.
The new
New
house.
house.
new house,
yeah.
the big house.
Yeah.
And then there was Garrett there? No, a year
He was just
later.
born.
He was after you.
A year later.
Yeah,
It's only a year later, yeah.
he
And
was.
when we were younger, me and Garrett and Greg, we can always been
You were very bold.
we always remember being minded by all ye.
Yeah.
There was always so many in our house. Like, it was busy. And when you used to get us sent to bed, the house was always busy. There
Yeah,
was always people calling and always people up.
there was.
Yeah.
It was a busy house. Everybody used to come to visit us.
You were in a band.
We were.
We sang with Sean.
Yeah.
Well, first of
Well,
all, we started with the ballad group.
We had a ballad group. There was myself, there was Sean Michael, Elizabeth, Martina, Linda, myself and Fiona.
Hmm.
And we sang in the ballad group for years. And then Sean Michael went pro. Well, then ye went, the three of ye. And then Sean Michael went pro then.
But how we made the money for Sean to start pro was every year we used to go on the ran, and Daddy would load us all up in the car and he would drive us to Kildare, to all the pubs, Port Harrington on Stephen's Day, and we would sing and we'd make money, and then we'd end up in Cameras and Coolrain at the end of the night, and we'd make loads of money down there, and that's how we started up to buy
We
speakers
got
and
£5 each and Sean Michael got the rest.
to buy speakers and mics.
Sean was always a very clever businessman.
And how did you get into singing? Who was the
Sean.
Sean? got
Well,
into
first of
singing
all,
first?
Mammy and Daddy always listened to music when we were small, and living in the old house, we had a record player up there, and lots and lots of records. And Mammy used to sing a lot to us when we were small as well. So we always started to sing. You know, we sang from a very
She still
early
does.
age. She
When
does
we were-
still sing.
When we used to go away, we'd all load up in the car and we'd go off with Mammy and Daddy and we'd go into Rossgrey after dinner for ice cream. And we'd sit outside the gem in Mount Rat or Mullally's outside in Rossgrey, and we'd sit and eat ice cream. But we'd always sing in the car when we were driving along. We'd do Three Blind Mice, Fairy Jacka. Do you know what? Like, we just always done that.
Do you remember going to Mass on a Sunday? We'd
Singing
all be
hymns.
singing our hymns, going down in the car practicing.
Yeah, it's true.
But then Sean started the band. Myself and Elizabeth went out with him for a few years,
Mm.
and he went professional then, and we weren't good enough, obviously, for him. But
you
then
you probably didn't want to.
I didn't want to.
No.
I was in school. I was doing my leaving cert, and I didn't want to be out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night singing. And I was going out with John at the time as well. And sure, you really didn't have much of a life at that age. It was the last thing you wanted to do.
When me and Garrett were young, we used to wait until you come home from school, and you were in Mount Rat,
Yeah,
and you had these big duffel coats. and
That's
we'd
right.
Wait until you came home. We'd raid the pockets for sweets.
sweets.
Because they were getting to Mount Rat. I don't think Mammy and Daddy brought us to town until we were 12.
You're too wild.
Yeah.
You couldn't be took anywhere. You were lunatics.
Sharon was so hard on us when we were younger.
She was tough.
You weren't simple, David.
I remember climbing out to the hatch in the kitchen when it used to be there, and you'd climb out to the windows, and you'd take Mammy Scott's clans, and you could find it. You could follow you down the field with the
Papers.
trail of the empty sweet papers.
Do you remember I broke the hurl?
brush.
The brush hand off you. And then about a few weeks after, I went up again up the stairs, and you met me at the top of the stairs with a shoe, and he was going to kill me with it. And I turned around and ran back out the door. That was the last time I hit you.
That was Greg.
It was you.
It was Greg. It wasn't me. I wouldn't hit a girl.
I'm not a girl. I'm your sister.
When you were in school, were you all stayed in one room when? That's what I can remember. It was
In the
girls'
new
room.
house, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
it was you,
Yeah,
Linda. You were all together,
we were.
and you all were in school around the same time. But you must have been left earlier. You were Elizabeth. You were working in Kilkenny, or you left?
Oh,
Home.
no, I stayed at home for a while.
Did you?
Yeah, and then I went back and I did a commercial course in Mount Rath in a convent, and then I got a job in Kilkenny in Great West Life. It's now the VHI. So I can't remember now whether I left that and then went to Rathdowney to work in
Mansfield.
Mansfields.
Yeah, that's what you did.
Yeah.
Were
Yeah.
you working before Martina?
I don't think so.
No, I was working
I don't
first.
think so. Yeah, I think
when
Martina
when
was.
you left school,
I left school, I was only just 17, and I went off and did a secretarial course, and where I went for my work experience, I went straight to work after that in insurance. And I moved from there to Mansfields again, like Elizabeth. And then I went to AXA, and I was there for 15 years.
Mm.
And then I started up my own business.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And you, Linda?
Well, my first job, I finished school, but I didn't do a great job because I was busy mitching and driving. I'd use the thumb on the road, myself and my sister Sharon. And we got a lift one day. I'll tell you now a story. We went over to Fiona, my first cousin that used to play in the band with us. We decided that she wanted to go down and put her name down for a job in Benamore, which is the restaurant outside Rossgray, right? And we went over, Sharon and Paul, and went on up to Dublin. We used to drive up, we used to thumb up to Dublin and then cross the road and come back down.
Safety first.
And we'd be back by the time the bus was going home, right?
We always went with lorry drivers.
We always went with lorry drivers, but
They were
we met Shannon Transport, right? Because we were coming back out of Rossgray, and do you know that big hill there where Anne Mackay's mother and father used to live? And I said to Fiona, we'll walk out to Benamore. We won't thumb anyone. And she says, no, it's too far. So this lorry pulled up on the hill for us, a yellow lorry. And we opened up the door, got in, said hello, how are you, whatever. And next thing anyway, we were just picking up speed and he was just going down the hill. And I said, you can ease off here. And he looked at us and he goes, what? And I said, yeah, you can ease off here. And he just looked at us and he stopped, lays out, and that was it. So went on up to Dublin with another lorry driver. We'd always thumb lorries because lorries were safer, because they're big lorries, you're far away from them, and they were always very nice. All the lorry drivers were fierce nice.
Can I what age were you at this time?
Too young.
We were in, I'd say, maybe second, third year in school in the convent.
So you were like
14 maybe.
14,
Yeah.
15.
So
Did Mammy and Daddy know you were doing this?
No, they didn't know
Just
we were doing
tipping up
this.
to Dublin
No,
for the
we
day?
just tip up to Dublin, and we'd all put our money together, the five of us, and we'd buy sweets to keep us going for the day. So then that was grand. We were coming back down from Dublin, and the next thing anyway, I was tumbling away, and next thing the yellow lorry stopped again, and I opened up the door and I jumped in and I went, how are you? And it was the same lad that we'd met in Rossgray that had us off in Benamore. So after that then we got to know him, we had great old crack, and then he had all these other lorry drivers and the new us, and every time you could be going to school and the next thing you'd meet the lorry was just there and he'd say, you coming? And we'd go, okay. And we'd jump into the lorry and on we go. He'd go into the shop, he'd buy his sweets, and we'd just go in for the day. He'd drop us off if he was going to be delayed, and he'd pick us back up if everything else was okay. And that's the way we done it.
We went.
Until they got caught.
Granddad Cuddy was in hospital in Dublin after getting his eyes done. And we thumbed
Up
up
to
to
see
Dublin
him.
to see him. And because we wore the green convent uniform, there was a school in Dublin had the same one. So we said we were from that school. So we got 20p for the bus.
Yeah.
Out to the
Student.
hospital. We stayed with Grandad all day. And we got back that evening. And when we came out to Harris's,
Harris's,
Yeah.
here was Daddy in Harris's with the lorry, and we had to run down the road to get away further so he wouldn't see us. And we knew Shannon Transport wouldn't be there till 4:30, so we were standing all of us on the side of the road waiting for Shannon Transport to come.
Did Daddy ever catch you?
Yeah.
He did. Sean Michael told on us.
Sean Michael told us.
We were all mitching in our Auntie Margaret's, and Mick seen Sean Michael coming to the door, and he said, "Girls, run!" So we ran upstairs, and he came in for about 5 minutes. And he went, and the next thing, Mammy, Auntie Anne, and Sean Michael landed to the door. He went back up and told.
And another day, I was doing a
Bollocks.
secretarial course over in Rossgray, and myself and Claire Hogan decided we'd mitch for the day. And we went over to Portleat, and you know around Leicester Square where the old Extra Vision was. And the next thing anyway, there were radio, 2FM was doing their van, and we were dancing on the street, and Daddy was looking across us. So I was staying in Claire's house that night, and it was the first time, because Daddy, Mammy never liked you going anywhere, like staying in anybody's house. I'm sure they want you, that's what he'd say, you know. So he'd let me stay, and the next thing anyway, I was there in Claire's, and then Daddy came down, and next thing Claire says, your father's out there, you have to go home. And I was like, oh Lord. So when I went out to the car, he just said, you're mitching today, you're not staying. And he never said a word after that, but just home we went, and that was it. I wasn't allowed to stay.
He never told Mum.
Oh, I told Mammy.
Of course, they told
I
each
told
other
him to give
everything.
out
Daddy
stink.
was a man of few words.
Yeah.
They were so much harder on you than they were on us.
Oh, they
Oh.
were.
There, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you weren't let go anywhere.
No.
Nope.
Boyfriend,
watched,
all
yeah.
that stuff.
If we were in the yard outside, Mammy would start flashing the light
To come in.
Or Daddy would come to the door.
or Daddy would come to the door in.
Yeah.
And you had to be in at 2:10 if the dance was over at 2 o'clock.
Do you remember
You
the
had to be in
night
at 2:10.
we were all in the yard And we went in. I was with Dermot. You were with James. You were with, I don't know who you were with, Linda. But anyway, we went in. They were asleep. We were late now coming in. But we were all together in the yard outside talking. And I was in a giddy mood. And you know, when you go up the top of the stairs, Mammy and Daddy's bedroom was right in front. And it always squeaked. And the girls crawled across so Daddy wouldn't hear. Because Mammy would be, who's that? Do you know, like lightning. And of course, Sharon jumped because I was so giddy. I got caught. And we didn't even tell that they were with me. If I had said the girls were with me, I wouldn't have got in trouble. Coming in at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's a mortal sin.
Mortal sin in our house.
Outriding.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah,
Shocking.
if we were with them, a good reason to be.
So you left home first
I left home first. I was the first to get married.
with John.
John.
It's funny, John is with Marty. We were just saying before
On the way up.
we started. John was with Martina before Garrett was born, or 9 months.
He was 9 months old. Garrett was 9 months old when I met John.
Because we don't remember anything else other than John. around
He's
the
like,
house.
yeah, he's like a brother.
Yeah.
I met John when I was 15. I wasn't obviously let go anywhere, so he used to come up to the house. And he used to sit with me on a Saturday night in the house. Or if we were playing music, he was allowed to go there and watch me for the night and bring me home.
Creepy.
Yeah, that was it. And God help him, he did. You know, he stuck it well, didn't he?
It is.
But
For
yeah.
how many years did he do that?
Well, I met him at 15. We got married when I was 19. And so for that many years, 4 years.
And then you moved out.
Moved out then straight away, yeah.
Down the road.
I was the first to leave home.
Were you sad about that?
I was actually devastated. I'd say I cried for 6 months. I was so lonely.
Go away.
Yeah.
It's mad. Vicky did that as well when we first moved into the house. She couldn't wait. And then the first night in there at the table, I'm thinking, look at the blissful house I'm going to live in. She bawling at the table.
It's just you'd be used to such a busy house.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was, then you.
And me, yeah.
Talk to
No,
me.
you got married before me.
Sean Michael got married next.
Yeah, Sean got married
Sean
next.
got married next.
Well, he was never
Yeah.
there.
No.
No, he was always gone.
Then I got married after that.
6 months before me.
I was 21 when I got married. We're married 29 years this year.
Then it was you.
Yeah, we were married 29 years as well. Yeah, we got married 6 months apart. And Seamus got married 6 months after that. 3 of us got married within a year.
Mm.
Yeah, I got
And-
married in 99.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Great day.
Yeah.
Wasn't drunk at that or anything. 19-year-old in my prime.
In the old Collection Hotel.
Yeah. Mm.
Jeez, that's a busy spot now.
Yeah.
It's a busy spot now. And like, can you remember, like, Christmases in our house were crazy.
Brilliant.
They were brilliant, yeah.
Loved it.
All night job.
No matter what we asked for when we were small, we got it. I compare it to, I knew nothing else. None of us did. But I compare it to John now when he was small, you know, and he said he'd get a tiny little present for Christmas, one little thing. We used to wake up Christmas morning, we'd have so much stuff, you know, and the excitement was lovely, and Christmas Eve was lovely. It was always made to be such a big thing. Christmas Day was lovely.
Mm.
And that's why when I moved out, I felt so, you know, when you were used to so many people around you, it was so hard. Now, it took me a while, but I got used to it. I loved it then, you know. But just big changes.
Yeah.
Now.
When you have a big family.
The hardest
know.
part I always found was the dinners.
Yeah.
You're making dinner for 2 people where you made it for 11 or 12 beforehand. And I used to put down such an amount of food.
'Cause dinner, even evening
Yeah.
dinner in our house. Remember, we were all sitting on bench seats. And
Yeah.
we were,
Big
Yeah.
table.
And I remember when we were small and we were living in the new house now at this stage. There was 11 of us at this stage now. And myself and Sharon used to take turns every Sunday. One of us would go to Mass either Saturday night or a Sunday morning in Killinure at 8 o'clock. And we'd have the dinner ready when they come home from Mass at 12 o'clock. Now that's for the 11 of us. And we'd do all that. We'd peel the potatoes, we'd do all the veg, we'd do the meat. We'd do everything. And we'd have it ready when they come in the door. Do you know what I mean? And we'd sit down and all eat.
Do you remember the day Daddy cut the kitchen table?
No.
Mommy went to Mass.
One of the legs was broken a little bit.
Yeah.
And the table was shaky. And Mammy was giving out about it. She said to Daddy to fix it. And sure,
Daddy
when
brought
Daddy
in
turned
the
it upside
chainsaw.
down and he cut the 4 legs.
And when Mommy came in and sat under it, she couldn't get her legs under the table. So he had to go again and get blocks and cut them in You know,
Stick him onto the legs.
nail him up to the table.
Daddy was so funny back then.
He
wasn't
was. He was.
But like, what was he? Like when we were younger, I can't remember. I don't think I was ever give out to my daddy. I don't think he.
Oh,
ever,
we were.
No, we were.
Yeah, we were. But
Well,
you were
no,
always
he
very
said
cheeky.
very little.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if he said something, that was it. And if Mammy said something, he would totally agree with her. He would never disagree with her. They never
No.
disagreed. So if Mammy said no, if you wanted to go somewhere, that was it. You could never
Like-
go from one to the other.
We used to, like for myself and Sharon, to go to a disco in Ballafin or in Cameras or in or in Knockaroo, we'd have to go to Mass on a Saturday night to be dressed. So that when we ask him, can we go, that we don't have to go get dressed. Because one night we did ask and we were dressed to go and he wouldn't let us go because of that.
Took it for granted.
Because we were taking it for granted that we were going to be let go. But we'd have to spend the whole Saturday cleaning the house, having it spotless, so that Mammy wouldn't, and we'd have Mammy warned and not to sigh or
'Cause
not
if
to
she
say
sighed.
anything. We could bring in 5 cups of tea if it wasn't right. Right? And no, but you know what I mean? She liked it a certain way. But like, they'd stay in the sitting room, the two of them, and we'd go in and ask, could we go? Now, if Daddy said no, that's it, forget about it, you're going nowhere. But if there's nothing said and Mammy doesn't sigh, we're looking good.
So what we did then was we changed it around. We'd ask Daddy when Mammy was in a different room. Because if Mammy sighed, we couldn't go. But if he got Daddy on his own, you'd have a better chance
Yeah.
of going. Because Lil was.
I don't know where Daddy would get the trust issues. You know, when you're heading up to Dublin every day when you're supposed to go to school.
He never had those with me or Elizabeth
Well,
because we didn't
we-
do those things.
Yeah, we only went to Dublin and came home.
Only went to Dublin.
Yeah.
If your children did that now, you would absolutely kill them.
We used to go up to Auntie Marion's and up in Donnybrook and we'd put our hands into her letterbox and open her door and go in if she wasn't there.
Yeah, you used to go to my house too.
But wasn't
Oh,
it a very
we did. We went
dangerous
to
thing to
Martina's
do?
and we tidied the
Yeah.
house. Linda and them are at yolks out of the fridge. We did. We tidied.
When you left home,
Yeah.
you left home before you were married. You were the first that left without getting.
I left home and Mammy and Daddy were not happy.
I remember that.
Mammy told me I wasn't going. Mammy wanted everyone to stay home. And I said, I got a job in Portlaoise in Minch Norton's, or in Slenderworld. And it's just up over Sally Gardens. And I said, no, I was moving out. Well, I tell you, there was war, they weren't letting me go. And Daddy said I could walk. Right? So John Ryan, the saviour, came over and said, you're hardly going to let her walk down the road, Jane, like, you know. But Daddy said if I left, and Mammy, you needn't come back. So I left, I moved into the house, and I was back on Friday evening.
Well, I never left. I lived at home for years.
And as well as that, when we were at home, none of us ever drank.
No.
None of us drank.
She makes up for it now.
Yeah, but none of us ever drank. And it was, we were down in Tramore. We used to go down to the South Shore apartments every year, all of us together. But getting back to the point, it was Jared's christening. And I was up at the christening, and next thing, Daddy and Barry were out in the kitchen, and they were talking. And I said to Elizabeth, can you go over to the press, there's a little press under the sink, and see is there vodka there, and I'll have a drink, right? I was drinking it this time now. And Elizabeth was out rooting in the press, and Daddy says, what are you looking for, Lizzie? And she says, oh, I'm looking for some vodka for Linda. And Barry goes, don't let her drink in this house.
Barry.
You're hardly going to let her drink in this house, Daddy. And Daddy says, if Linda wants a drink, let her have a drink.
He changed his
He
tune.
did, he
He did,
changed,
yeah.
you know, like
They
he-
never gave a shite what we done.
But you were always very cheeky and kind of roguey with Mammy and Daddy, where we were more serious because I think it's like they reared two families.
See,
The older
the
and
only
then you,
people that disciplined us was ye.
we disciplined you, yeah.
But you know what, when we went down to South Shore Apartments, Martina was drinking Tia Maria and Coke, Sharon was drinking Smirnoff, I was drinking vodka and Diet Coke, and of course Daddy said I was the only one that was drinking in the family. I was such a bad influence. And we were all there and Daddy was there, God, Linda, and I said, Daddy, every one of them were drinking. You know? You were drinking Smirnoff.
I wasn't.
And was
You
I?
were.
I didn't drink till 99.
This is when the kids,
Yeah, I know, and I still smoke like a trooper. I love a fag.
Sharon, this is when the kids were born. We were down in
Small,
Tramore on
yeah.
holidays.
Suppose.
By the way, you're gonna have to bear with me now. I'm sharing with Sharon, and we're doing not too bad a job.
No, we are doing a good
So
job.
if you're looking at this on camera, I'm not trying to shift my sister. I'm just trying to make this easier. But you didn't stay in Slenderworld though. You went working for
No, I went to work in Minch Norton's and I didn't even apply for a job there. I had applied for a job down in a fitness place down beside it in Mary Hennessy's. And she gave my CV to Mervyn because he was looking for someone. So I went in there anyway and I worked there for
Good
7.5
Catholic name,
years.
Mm.
And then my husband now, he had a courier business and he was just driving vans up and down to Dublin. And then I left it and I went to work with him and we were doing it up to 2016. Hard work, but done now and dusted.
Different chapter.
Different chapter now. Closed that business down and I'm working with Martina now in Cuddy's Kids.
Very good. We'll get there. Elizabeth.
Yes, David.
So down in Kilkenny, right? You're living
Yeah.
the high life.
I lived
Right.
in Kilkenny for a few years.
You're
Yeah.
riding around. Everyone
Well, James was in college at that time, you see, in Carlow.
So
So you used to tip
I'm joking,
over.
by the way. She wasn't riding around. She had a long-term boyfriend, James Grant.
Yeah, which I'm married to now. But yeah, I was there for a long time, and then when I got married, I moved back to Earl actually, and I just had Tanya then really, and I actually was a stay-at-home mother for for always really because I always worked from home.
Hardest job there is.
Hardest job there is, yeah. But I
If
did
I don't say that, I would be murdered.
I did spiritual work then. I started doing Reiki and massage and all that type of thing, and so I'm full time now doing spiritual work. You know, so I work from home.
And James then,
He works out in the workshop. He's an engineer.
I used to
So,
live in.
out the back. Yeah.
Well, actually, lived in Martinez. I lived in Elizabeth's.
You did, David.
We
You
all
did.
done runs living. In
Everybody lived in Martinez and John's
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually learned how to drive in John's Peugeot.
van. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
everybody learned how to drive in one of John's vans.
The only difference between me and
You didn't crash
I
it.
didn't crash it.
Everybody else crashed his
Barry
van.
liked the crash vans.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was a bit of a pussy. I was a bit of a- Sharon stayed for a long time. I think it was just to bully us.
I stayed home for a long, long time. Well, Dermot was working away.
You were a hairdresser.
Yeah, I did hairdressing, and now I only did it to get out of school. Because I never loved it, but I did it. Because Mammy wouldn't let me leave school unless I did something. And then I
Why
went.
did you hate school?
I just hated school. I couldn't deal with school.
She mitched every time
I
she went.
got up in the morning, I ate soup or soap, if I said it right. Chewed on it to get me sick.
Really?
Oh, I did loads of things like that. Tore my uniform so I wouldn't have to go. I could get up at 5 o'clock and eat a bar of soap and try and be sick.
Why did you hate school so much?
I don't know why. Just couldn't bear it. Just was so depressing. It really was. The worst days of my life.
So you left school and you done hairdressing and
And then I got married.
got married to a farmer.
Yeah, to a farmer.
Now Sharon's the big farmer. And on the way down, I asked a question to Sharon, right? that I ask a lot of people. And only Sharon would answer something like this.
Yes.
I said, Sharon, if you had 2 million in the morning, right, what would you do? Most women, cars, handbags, holidays. Land. I buy land. What do you want more land for? You always want land. But sure, you don't need it now. You always need land.
Well, you do need land. It's very important to have a bit of land.
Sharon, when I first started messing with Illuminati and giving farmers their digs, she'd give me the stink eye, wouldn't you?
I would, David, because you're very mean to the farmers.
I love the farmers.
Well, you can be mean to them.
I mean, everyone equally.
That's true.
I'm a farmer's son.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. But I am. No, I mean to everyone equally. I just said everyone. I think everyone has a heart. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a farmer or not. But when you were younger, and compared to say when you see people now, there was nothing a given. Like anything that you all had to do, you had to do it yourselves.
Yeah.
Like there was no one setting that out for you.
No.
Like there was no one say, "Here, I'll get you a car," or "We'll insure it for you." Like you would have bought your own cars, insured your own cars, got your own jobs, all those things.
But our cars were £400 and £500, and our insurance wasn't fierce tier, whereas now their insurance is gone
Class.
thousands.
But it's relative. I'm not that old, and I can remember I can remember. I know things are a lot more expensive, but I do remember that if you had £50, you could go out all weekend.
Yeah.
You could go out all weekend. So €400 was the same as having £2,000 now.
Oh, it was. It was great money. Like, we were very lucky, you know, at that time because everything wasn't as expensive, and I suppose we were easier pleased.
Well, when I got
You
my
know-
first job, I worked in Hackett's betting office in Rossgrey. And sometimes I'd cycle over, sometimes you were working there. And I used to work in it, and it was £35 a week is what I got there. £35. And that was good money. Do you know what I mean? And it lasted me, whatever. Now, it was a few hours, and I hated these drunk lads coming in and breathing on top of you, looking at figures. I still don't understand betting today. And I worked there for a couple of months. And then I got a job in Damer House, and I worked in a little shop. And I used to leave Rossgrey and come back to Cameras and work there. That's when I was young, before I even got a job in Portleat.
Because I worked in a hairdresser's and I got £5 a day from 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. And Daddy or someone would have to come in for you because you wouldn't have a car.
I used to go over with Daddy.
Yeah.
And on the way home at Christmas, you get to see all the lights
Yeah.
in the houses. And back then, if someone had a Christmas tree out in the yard, you'd think, fuck! Look at that affluent prick. And I didn't know what affluent meant back then. So that's impressive. Actually, Gary sends me words sometimes about, it's embarrassing that only about a year and a half ago I found out what the word affluent was. Affluence.
Oh, Dave.
I know. Fuck you, Mar. Right? You were out in the world, you know, you were in insurance, you were in industry, we were stuck in the wood.
Pity about you.
My
Well, I also had lots to do with the wood because John always had something to do with the wood. So I'm well used to the wood and the life
And the books.
it gives you.
The books.
The wood is a hard life.
Sharon's husband would have been always in the wood, forestry and forward, and John would have always been in forestry.
From the time he
forward.
came up, yeah.
Me and Garrett and Greg were saying in the last podcast, like our first jobs would have been with
John,
and
yeah.
that was tough back then.
Very hard. It was very hard and we were very young. John was very brave at that time to start off a business in the timber industry because it was very hard and machines were very expensive, even though they're not like they are now, you know. But he used to be gone at 5 o'clock in the morning, home at 7 and 8, and sometimes when we had our first child, Dara, who everybody knows,
Yeah, small little,
small
nephew
little
Dara.
Dara, John was working up in Donegal, and he used to go on a Monday morning and he wouldn't be back till a Friday evening. At that time there was no mobiles. He used to ring me every evening from a phone box in Ballybuffet at 9 o'clock, and that was the contact we had. So there were tough times, but there were good times at the same time, you know.
But does everyone look back and think there were good times, but they were
They
actually
were.
tough times?
They were tough, but I still can say that we had a good life, you know. I enjoyed it, and when we were together, it was great then, you know. But I always had, because we lived so near home, I always had everybody here and all the family down. Sure, most of the time somebody was living with me. Sharon lived with me, Elizabeth lived, you did
I was it
too.
for a while, yeah.
Linda did, everybody did.
To get away.
Well, I didn't live with you. I went down on a Friday night.
To use the bed.
Go down and check. Come on. Excuse for the podcast.
An excuse to be.
Yeah, so I was
BBC.
lucky in that sense that I had plenty of support, and I was the first. We were the first, myself and John, to have kids. So everybody was mad to babysit our kids because they wanted to use the spare room with all their boyfriends.
Well, Dermot worked in Galway at the timber for years, same as Martina.
Yeah.
It was gone Monday morning, now home till Friday night. No phones at the beginning either. He was the same, but it's very hard. But I was lucky. I was at home with Mammy and Daddy. I had Mammy and Daddy to help me mind, rear the children too.
Yeah.
But it was hard. Sure, you were at home at that time, like.
We were living the dream.
Well,
No,
you were really.
Well, you were, yeah.
Me and Garrett would have, you would have had it tough, but me and Garrett didn't. Like, we were 17, 18 years of age, brand new cars. Like, we walked into it, like, John and them all would have kind of paved the way.
A little bit for everybody else.
You know,
yeah.
Daddy and them all. We just got into jobs. We had all of them to teach us how to drive.
Yeah.
And then it kind of destroyed us. You know, big money.
Very fast.
Yeah, very fast. Working.
Mm.
And didn't have the responsibility either of kids or anything like that. And that only goes one or two ways.
Yeah.
Mostly negative.
Dermot used to say, that if he was earning £650 a week, you and Garrett were earning the same money, and we had 2 children. You had none, and you were getting it hard to live at that time. You know.
Sure, if you go out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, try and run a brand new car to impress the bitches, and
Yeah,
then
Sharon, you
realise
weren't
that it's
doing that.
not impressing the bitches.
Yeah.
It's tough. It is. But isn't it mad when say when we were younger, you would have been babysitting us a lot,
Yeah.
but still you kind of let us do what we want. Is that because you weren't actually our parents? You didn't really care about us.
Exactly. We just had to
Just
make
had
you
to sure-
survive.
Yeah.
Because Sharon, I remember Sharon would be babysitting us and Linda, and you'd be just trying to get us to bed for
Oh.
boyfriends to come up.
It was a
And
nightmare.
at 6 or 7 o'clock to be sending us to bed in the middle of the summer. Now there was not a chance in the world we were going to bed. I knew what their game was. They were just mad for Mickey, right? And we were there. No way, no fucking way are we going to bed. We climbed out the top. I wouldn't climb out that
Out on
top
the
window
balcony.
now.
On the balcony as well.
Yeah,
balcony.
remember we got caught on the round pipe. We'd get a loading shovel to get us off it.
Out to the bathroom window.
Out to the bathroom window. And
No,
there's
you were
big down pipe.
terrible. You were terrible.
They
You
were so bad.
were like
used to-
monkeys.
We used
They
to go
were,
down
yeah.
to Auntie Anne's and we just be gone. You'd never even know half the time we were gone.
We did know.
You didn't know all
We
the
were going
time.
around the country looking for you, so we didn't know whether to go to Auntie Anne's or Steve Bergen's.
Yeah, but when we were
Two
young,
great places to go if you wanted lemonade and crisps and
well, when we weren't allowed out years ago, and Daddy wouldn't let us go to the local discos, and I'd be at home and I wouldn't be let go, and Sharon wouldn't be let go either. Sharon would go down to Auntie Anne's, and she'd go down there to the disco, and I'd be home not going.
But I was much quieter, you see. I could be trusted more. I was trusted more. I think it's because I was going out with Dermot at the time.
You weren't going out
They
there
liked
then.
him.
but you're yeah, they did like him. And you weren't really out kind of person.
No.
Like even Linda, you're a party. We were just saying on the way down. Linda's a party animal. Like she's going
I
to
like to go
Electric
out.
Picnic. She's going to the Dead Man Festival. She's going to the Burning Man in California. And she likes drink, drugs.
Don't
Her
like
and
drugs,
Paddy- her and Patty just go out all the time. Martina is you like to eat out,
Dine
but
out.
dine out. Kind of, I like that.
I like
Vic
what
as
you
well.
like there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, you like to stay in like Sharon as well, and
Yeah.
do stuff like that.
I'm not into the pubs now. I like to go out for a meal now,
Yeah.
but I don't like going to pubs. I
Yeah.
just don't like.
I like the atmosphere of the pub. And
Yeah, well, I don't. You see, I like it.
you know, you're
kind
meeting
of
other
quieter.
people and you're
Yeah.
getting a bit of news, and you know, it's grand.
How come, growing up in a big family, you didn't all have a big family?
'Cause you had to
Well,
have him.
And you
Yeah,
have
exactly.
To, yeah.
Our mother was a
Aim.
saint. I think all women were saints back then. They had kids, but it was very different then.
Mm.
When I had Dara, I swore I'd never have another one. And 5 years later, I decided I didn't want an only child, so I decided to have another one. But I would never have a third.
And Linda?
I had 2 girls, and then I decided I was after doing this ring thing that you could do, like, you know, with the chain.
We're talking about a chain now. We're not
Yeah,
talking
and
about
it tells you whether you have
the
a boy or a
anal
girl,
ring.
it swings, whatever. And it told me I was going to have a boy, so I went and I got pregnant again, and I had a boy. So I had 3 kids, perfect little family.
I have 2 kids. Yeah. So just Tanya and Emma. They're 25 now and 21. So they grew up, and one's in college and the other one is working now. So
Sharon?
I've 4. Sure, Jared's 26, and sure, the youngest is 13 this year, so they're grand. They got big. They're in college, some of them, and some of them still in school, so
Would you like to have more?
I would have. I was sorry I didn't have more.
You're looking forward to Jared pumping out a few grandchildren.
I'd love it, but they won't, yeah.
You never know. You never know. Martina is the only granny here.
I'm the only nana. I'm not a granny.
Why do you hate granny?
I hate that word, granny. And I'm nana. And I have 2, Braxton and Kyla, and another on the way. Delighted.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're lovely.
So Martina, when you went from our house, and then you had Dara, and
Yeah.
he was young, and John wouldn't have been around. Would John have been the type of lad now that would come home and hand the baby to him? And do
Oh,
everything?
God. Well, to this day, he'll admit himself he never changed the nappy. He reared 2 kids and never changed the nappy. I remember once I went to mass on a Saturday evening, and Dara was a baby, and I said to him, "He's fine now. He's fed. He shouldn't move." And I went to mass, drove back up the drive, and he was standing at the front door with Dara in his arms like this. He is a bad nappy. Take him. That was it. He never changed the nappy.
But you still wouldn't consider him a bad daddy, would you?
He's a great daddy. Once the kids could move, like on them by
On their own.
themselves, they could walk around and eat the food we eat, and he could take them to the toilet and
Or communicate with him.
absolutely he would have done anything for them, and did, and took them always with him in the lorry and the machines, and he was very good.
Yeah. I think that when your woman gets pregnant and all women are so excited. And
Yeah.
everyone's always telling them, "Oh, little baby," and then the baby comes, and it's a hormonal thing with women. You're so attached to him, and for a lad, you're just there. Fuck, I'll break it if I touch it, or it's just a
It's
naive-
different.
you're not attached to it really until you start communicating with it, and you can.
Oh, it's so true. I think we were married for nearly 4 years before we had Dara. And we used to have a ball, like we were out when John would come home, we'd go out. You didn't have to think of a baby. We had a great life. And the first day I brought him home, which was on a Sunday, he was in a little buggy in the corner of the house. And John said to me, "Oh, I'm heading into town now." And I was there, God, I can't even go with him now. I have to stay here and mind him, And it's such a big change for people. You are very tied, and you do need, I think, now people are older now having kids, and I think they need to be. If you're very young, it's tough. It's a big change.
Well, I always made sure I had a babysitter.
Do you very rarely mind your kids?
No, but when it comes to a Saturday night, I'd always go on a Saturday night. So I said to Paddy, now we used to live in Portlaoise first, and then when I had babysitters in Portlaoise, and they were nice babysitters, but when we moved to Cullehill, then I was out in the country, and I knew nobody in Cullehill. So I said, that's it. I said to Paddy, you go find me a babysitter and have one there for next Saturday night when we move in. And he did. And I had her for years, and she was the best girl. It was Helen Spencer from Cullehill, and she practically lived in my house.
Because I remember her now.
Yeah, she's a lovely girl.
Helen was such a great babysitter, and nobody ever stood up to her after because she was just so good. She was the best girl.
Have you ever missed a Saturday night out?
Rarely.
If I was in hospital having a child or something. But I tell you, I'll never forget. Helen was babysitting one night, and I said I was driving her home, and I was giving a payer her money. She said, "No, you needn't pay me." She said, "I know, because I was on your phone there for a few minutes." And I was like, "Oh my God, such honesty." Do you know, she was such a great girl, really a great girl.
I remember one fucking night, Mammy and Daddy went to see Sean. Remember back when they got a bit older, they'd leave me and Garrett and us on our own. You'd be out riding or whatever.
David.
When you were older, of course, you were about 14, 15. And me and Garrett were there. Oh, dude, the Sunday World used to come in.
Yeah.
And they had these pictures in the back of all these sexy ladies. And all you had to do to talk to these sexy ladies that were in the pictures.
Dial.
1800
Oh, God.
151 151 151. So me and Garrett were there. Jeez, this would be cool.
I remember this.
So we started around 9:30 after we made our food, right? So after we had our food, we were full belly. We were there, right? We're gonna talk to these sexy women, right? So we made the first phone call, and it rings. And next thing goes, "If you want to talk to blah blah blah, press 1." And then you press 1. Nothing happens. If you want to talk to, we didn't know what BBM was or fucking all this shit. Didn't know. And I kept pressing numbers and nothing was happening. Hang up, try another one, right? So we tried it for about 10, 15 minutes. That maximum. That's all we were doing. And we never got to hear it. We were expecting to have 20-second wanks. Take turns.
What age were you?
13 or 14. And nothing happened. We just went back to our normal, I suppose, everyday left hand in your imagination wank. And then, what was it?
The phone bill came.
The phone bill came. And I remember it was after Mass, of all things, right? And John Ryan and Mar were up. Mammy must be after seeing the bill and was mortified, thinking we were all the perverts wanking on the wall or something at home.
John was explaining about the numbers. Obviously, he must have known about them too.
Obviously.
But he was telling Mammy and Daddy like they were harmless, and they just keep you on hold to run up the bill, which they did. So I think they calmed down after a while.
They were fucking bullying. Mammy looked at me in this way she never looked at me before.
But you remember, Mark always had to put this It was a video.
It was Whitney Houston's I
It
Want to
was
Dance with
Whitney-
Somebody.
Yeah, it was these pop songs he used to love. And Daddy went into the sitting room to put them on for him. And the next thing, a blue movie came on. Right? It was the wrong video. And when we came home from school that evening,
We were blamed.
War. Were ye down watching blue movies with the boys? We honestly think it was Seamus that was after doing it.
We don't know who
We
done it,
still
but
don't know to this
We
day.
thought it was yours because it was Hairy Bush. It was the attack of the Hairy Bush. And that...
Oh my
Yeah, that was mine. How did you know that was mine?
you know, just I know these things. I'm good like that.
Well, we thought it was Seamus and Muriel's.
Sure, who else could it be? It wasn't mine anyway, I'd tell you.
Wasn't
I'd
ours.
tell you.
I know
and
you
it
were
wasn't ours. So, but we got the blame for it anyway. So,
How did Daddy say that to you?
oh, he was sure. Mammy and Daddy were going mad over it.
He's angels. His guards couldn't be watching things like that.
What was the biggest row at home that you can remember?
I actually don't remember very many rows. Say
No.
the truth now.
Like most of the time, we always had a great time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think when they found out that you were mitching, there was war in the school, remember? Sister Finbar and Mary Kavanagh brought me in and they said you were like wild goats.
I was called up.
Let out for the first time.
No,
But
that's
now-
what that was Sharon.
I was told Mary
two we were
Kavanagh
caught.
said that she's like a wild puck goat now for the first time.
Because I'll tell you what happened
what she
was
said.
they came up to the teacher. They brought Sharon down.
Yeah.
They brought Sharon down to the.
No,
to
hold
the
on now.
principal.
There's a story to this. We went mitching, right? Now we had been caught, and Daddy said, "You're not to do it again." So we said we wouldn't, but we did.
Very noble.
We did it the next morning. But anyway, when we went back to school that evening, when Mick Gorman always picked us up at the sawmill in Mountrat, there at the gates, and we go up in the bus, went down to the back of it, and the boys in the tech would cover us up with their bags. But Miss Sister Mary go up on the bus.
They're school bags.
Yes.
Yes,
Not the
not them bags there. But Sister Mary got up on the bus to see were we on the bus because someone was after tipping her off that we were seen that day in the town. But we weren't seen in the town because we were too
rats
clever.
around the town.
But she got up on the bus anyway and we weren't seen. So the next morning, I, as bold as ever, after, what was it in the mornings in school?
Assembly.
Assembly. I walked up to her and I said, "Sister, I heard that you heard that we were mitching school yesterday. We weren't, because Daddy would kill us if we were mitching school. That was the end of it. But we were up in art with Sister Finbar, and she came up and she calmed me down and she said, "Were you mitching yesterday?" I said, "No, we weren't mitching yesterday." Now I told Linda, "Keep your mouth fucking shut. Saying nothing. You don't know anything.
Don't be a rat.
Yeah, don't be a rat." Now remember, Linda's older than me. Came back up again, brought me down. I said, "No, sister, we weren't mitching. I'm telling you, I swear to God, we weren't mitching." So the next thing I was brought down to the office, and Ma Kavanagh was there, and Linda crying, and I knew she was after telling that we were after being mitching.
Because they knew we were mitching. They seen us getting into a yellow lorry.
But they didn't know. They had no proof. They couldn't prove that. They couldn't prove it.
I couldn't say a
So
line
she
like
brought
that.
in Mammy, and that's what she told Mammy. I was like a sucked calf after being loud
Yeah.
for the first time.
Well, look, they had Jesus on their side because they were nuns.
they were.
They were nuns. Why didn't you send your kids to the nunnery? Not the nunnery, the convent.
Because they're closed.
All of them.
They're all
Yes.
dead.
I don't think they're all dead.
Most of them are.
Oh,
So that's a lie, Sharon.
Martina.
Yes.
When you left, you were a bit of a lick arse in school.
Well, I certainly never mitched. I love school.
Not really.
And when you left school, you went to AXA for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Often got me insurance offer. Big miss since.
It was, yeah, I looked after everybody.
Big miss. And then you decided, fuck it, I'll go on my own kids.
Well, I actually had the business started up 2 years before I left AXA because I was waiting to be offered a package. They wanted me to move to Dublin, you see, to our office was closing in Tullamore. But I didn't want to do that because with John and the work he does, he was away all the time. The two of us couldn't be away all the time. So I decided I'd finish up. So in the village in Commerce, I saw a house that was for sale. Decided we'd buy it. And we'd start up a play school. There was none in the area. So Sharon actually started with me. The two of us went off and we did our childcare courses at night. We did them for 2 years. 3 years. I went back and did another one then. And Sharon worked in the school while I stayed in AXA for a certain short few months. And then I finished off. And look, it's 17 years later now. I have 2 places now. So Linda works with me now as well.
And I did work there for 15 years.
Yeah.
Best decision I made leaving it.
Well, look, Sharon was always going to leave. When you've that much acreage behind you, there's no
That's
need to
it.
be working anymore.
Kept woman. Kept
no need to
woman.
be working anymore.
Yeah.
And how many kids are in school?
I've roughly about 100 in each school between play school and after school care.
I've had my kids have gone through it. And
Yeah, they
it's a great
have.
spot.
Thank you.
It's a great spot. By the way, I ran out of A4 paper the other day and I had to go down and get some off Demi. I owe you of A4 paper.
That's okay, David. That's okay.
Say nothing in case you start telling me all that fucking stuff to me. Elizabeth, how do you spend your days now?
I spend my days working. I work for myself. I do, as I was saying.
With your job, would you think it's more of a calling than a job?
I think it's a calling. From the time I was very young, I always was very intuitive. And I got sick when I was, it was about 38, I'd say. No, 32 when I got sick. And I went from hospital to doctor and no one was curing me. So I started going down the alternative route. So I actually had Reiki done on me by somebody. And I started to come to and go down the kind of, what would you call it? The holistic route.
Nearly
And
broke
I got
the
better.
thing off the table there, so
Oh.
I got excited.
And I got better. So from that then I started a massage course, and then I did reflexology, and then I did, say, the course in Reiki and loads of different modalities of healing until 2011, right? I started doing SRT. It's you use a pendulum and a set of charts, and it's kind of a roadmap to where you want to go very deeply into somebody's being, I suppose, mentally and emotionally and spiritually and physically. And that's kind of what I do now full time, all the time. So I do it from home and I absolutely love it.
And she's very good.
And I do now, I love it.
You're flat out.
Well, I'm flat out as I want to be.
That's the best thing about working for yourself.
Isn't
Isn't
it?
what you want.
Yeah.
Someday I hope to be like that.
Yeah.
David, you are like that.
Shh up.
Yeah.
Sharon, what's it like to be a massive big farmer? No, I mean, I know what it's like to be a farmer. Farmers have it tough, but what's it like to be the wife of a massive big farmer?
Dermot's not a big farmer.
I would stop now. Come on.
Dermot doesn't really. He farms. I do most of it. He works a digger. He drives a digger. That's his work.
And farming. And
He just sends money.
when you look at young people now, what do you actually think?
I think that they actually have, they have different lives than us. And I think us as parents probably help our kids maybe an awful lot more. They stay in school for an awful lot longer. They have to, I suppose, now, because most kids have to have a degree to get a job of any kind. And I think we probably looked at, I finished school when I was 17. I went and did a secretarial course for 1 year. I did go back to college after and did my childcare, but most kids are in school now till they're 25 or 6 before they actually earn a penny or have a job. And we're behind them for that many years. We didn't get that. We were working. My first job when I was 18, I earned £65 a week, which was a lot of money at the time. I thought I was a millionaire. But now they're coming out of college and they're earning a fortune. They expect a lot. They expect to have houses, to have mortgages, to have cars, to have everything straight away. We moved into our house. We had a table and chairs and a bed when we got married first, when we moved into our house. And we had nothing, and we saved and gradually, bit by bit, did everything. And we did it, and we were happy doing it. But now
It's too easy to be heavily financed.
it really is. Everything is a big mortgage and it's a big loan, and you have to have, the house has to be completely done. And look, they're used to that. They're living in houses like that and they don't want any less. And that's probably nice for them, but it's very different from what we did.
But you were kind of mammies to us.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Like when I was younger, you would have been, oh, do this, do that.
Yeah, I would
And
try.
you made me buy a house. Like, what would I spend my money on then?
I know.
Yeah.
I was trying to buy a brand new M5. Remember, I was living in Sweden.
Mm.
It was all 100 grand.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth was there. You are in your shite.
Buy a house.
This is the house you're buying. Remember, I came home one weekend and you had everything there. You went to the auctioneer
Yeah.
and you go, pay them tomorrow.
Mm.
Pay him the deposit. I bought it off the plans.
Yeah.
Made me do it.
Yeah, just to get on the ladder, like, you know, and to set you up.
Fucking hate living there.
I know that, but
It was a good step.
it
though.
was a good step for you, yeah.
Thanks,
was.
Liz.
It was.
Thanks. You missed me when I left, didn't you?
Oh, Lord, I did.
I had some crack.
Yeah, David lived with me for a long time, didn't you?
I'll never forget one night coming home. I was always fairly quiet now coming home from the discos and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'd sneak in because they had small kids and I'd be going real, so I'd take off my shoes and wooden floors. Their house smelled of rich mahogany and I'd always try to be real quiet. And I want you to imagine 3 o'clock in the morning, real quiet, big bungalow, high ceilings. Next thing, she absolutely she had a nightmare.
I didn't.
Elizabeth.
I saw a spirit.
Oh God.
Well,
Right, you see, at that time I was seeing spirits.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Just frightened the fucking shite out of me. I can still hear it. I never forget it. I jumped. It was the scariest scream ever.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Fuck, that was horrible. And then at breakfast next morning, she'd be there, and I'm sleeping there now, right? I'm in the house, and she goes, "I seen a spirit last night." I was like, "Great, keep that to yourself."
But I used to only be able to tell you, remember?
Yeah.
I'd meet Martine at the pool and I'd say to Mara, God, last night. And Martine, I'd say, God, you know. And you see, I was doing the kind of hands-on healing and doing the Reiki, but I was picking up on other people's energy. And if there was a spirit around them, I was picking that up, right?
Yeah.
But then when I started the SRT, I was able to take control of that and have it cleared. But up until I started that, I was always seeing stuff. Even in the old house at home, I saw a priest walk up by the side of the house and out to the old graveyard, our old house at home, before you were born. Mammy used to go in the lorry with Daddy, and I'd go in to mind Gregory in their room, because Greg was only a little tiny baby at the time. And I could see, the dog started barking. You see this man, a priest, walking up by the side, just up along by the side of the house and up out over the dunghill. Up out over the dunghill. Yeah. And I used to see lots of bits, lots of different things all the time, but I used to think probably I was mad, but I always was very intuitive, like.
Did you ever see a ghost other than that?
I've often seen things, yeah.
Scary
Often.
ones.
Some now wouldn't be great. But now I don't see it anymore. I just don't want to know. I know if there's something around someone, or I know if there's something there, but I just have it cleared. You know?
Can you see?
I often cleared them in your house
Yeah.
for Vicky.
Yeah.
Do you remember one night she rang me when the Late Late Show was on? It was Saturday night, and things were moving on the coffee table. The stuff was moving around the coffee table, and I had to clear that for her.
I never believed or seen a ghost in my life until I got with Vicky.
Yeah.
And then, like, she told me all these stories about her home place. Now, they live in a
Oh, they do.
200 or 300 year old
Big
schoolhouse
history.
and-
Yeah.
Mm.
And I would just roll my eyes to heaven.
Mm.
And then I moved in with her, and fucking holy shit,
Yeah.
it was terrifying.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, do you believe?" I believe in shit. I've
Yeah.
sat in the bed at night, right, lying down, and the whole thing starts vibrating. It's
Not nice.
vibrating, and it's all Vicky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was all attached to Vicky. But I cleared Vicky. She doesn't have that anymore.
No,
You know. But no, she was just, it's because so many things happened there, back through the generations, like. So
Yeah.
No.
Go on, Sharon, talk to me.
I've had a lot of it in my house.
Your house is
Where I am now. But that's because, no, it's not. It's Dermot goes to every funeral. Anyone he knows, he'll go to it. And he picks up things in the graveyard and brings it home. Or he went digging a place, and I was standing at the kitchen sink peeling potatoes, and someone said my name. And when I turned around, there was no one in the house, only me. And then every night I go to bed, and Jared, every one of them sleep in the dark except for DJ. He's the only one that'll have the door open. But Jared shuts his door, and I said to him, "Why do you keep getting up at night and coming out on the land?" And he says, "Mammy, why do you keep coming into my room and opening the door every night?" So I rang Liz. as usual and cleared it. But Dermot brought it home from somewhere he was digging. And they had it in that house that he was digging in, but it came back to my house.
Well, look, people might think that's scary, but it's a lot better than bringing home syphilis.
Yeah.
You know, you're bringing home syphilis and stuff like that. That's not good. You're playing around. Ghosts are okay.
Yeah.
You can
Depends,
contact Elizabeth on
Oh.
087. You, Martina.
I do believe. I've never ever seen anything, but I certainly do believe. And I think that if I did see something, I wouldn't be here to tell the tale.
You die.
I'd die. I would
Linda?
die.
Yeah, in my house, I had a bit of a thing as well. Because our house is built on we had to do an archaeological dig in it because there was a castle just down the road, whatever. And I remember when I moved in, I just had this, you know, the way I was smoking at the time, and I just go out and have a fag. But
You're not smoking now.
I vent. I vape.
Vape.
And I vent.
Vent
But
and vape.
I was in the house, and we have a long corridor, and my washroom was upstairs, and I have my washing machine and dryer, and it's across the way from our bedroom, and I have a long corridor up to where the kids' bedrooms are. But this particular night I was in bed, and it was just something weird things were happening anyway. But we're into bed, next thing, all the fire alarms started going off in the house. Oh my God, it was just, I just woke up, I jumped out of bed, and Paddy jumped out and was like, oh my God, is there a fire or whatever? So I went out, the lights were off.
That'd be the
There was
first thing I think if all fire alarms came on as well.
and
So
the
would I do.
lights were off on the landing night. Do you know what I mean? And I went out into the hall, and Paddy was going up the hall, and next thing I turned on the light, and it was just like fog the whole way up the landing. And I said, oh, there must be the dryer, must be loads of smoke. And I opened up the door, and it was completely clear. So I rang Elizabeth. Next thing the alarms went off, the fog disappeared. But I rang Elizabeth, but Elizabeth did a clearing on the house.
I never
So-
knew about this.
Yeah,
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a portal.
And
It's like something
Jade,
out of a
There was a
film.
portal opened in the house. Yeah, a portal. Yeah.
Well, the next time that happens, right, I want you to call me. And
Ghostbuster.
I go over there with my fucking phone, right, and I show everyone. And I have a friend that has a Ghostmobile, like a Ghostbuster-mobile, Ecto One.
no, it's
But you
never
don't need a
happened.
fucking ghost mobile.
When Lizzie
I
done
need
the clearing,
pendulum.
it was grand
Shout
and
out
everything was
to Ed
fine.
Dunn.
Do you know what I mean? So just little weird things that happen. Jade used to see glasses. She used to get something, you know, whatever. Like, but it's grand, nothing major. Like, I've
I
never
think, yeah.
met anyone.
Yeah.
That's mad.
No, DJ is very, very intuitive. Yeah. I was actually thinking of closing his third eye because he was just
What?
Explain what that
his
is.
third eye.
Because I had an operation once and they had to stick something up my jab side.
I know that, David.
And I had
Oh, he's terrible.
no, seriously. I had I got up one morning, same as any other morning. Right? It was any other Sunday morning. Right? It was just like a normal Sunday morning. I took the two kids. I was going to take them up to Mum and Dad's. So I went into Centra. I had Lily and Clark left in the car, and I just pressed the button for the coffee, and a bit of a pain in my stomach, just a bit of a pain, just around here. And I started filling the coffee. Got a little bit worse. Then I got out to the car, and it was like a cramp. It was really sore, and then in my back a bit. I was there. I think I need a shy. I think I'll go home and have a shy, because I didn't know what else it could be. So well, I'll get to that. Wait. Anyway, I went upstairs and I said to Vicky, I pain my stomach. I think I need a shy. And I went upstairs and the pain just got worse and worse. There was no shit coming. And then about 10 minutes there, I am down on the ground, breathing with pain. Worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And next thing I started heaving with the pain. There was nothing coming out. My eyes started popping all bloodshot. They went all bruised from the heaving. And then I couldn't breathe with the pain. Tried to ring an ambulance because I thought I was going to die. Never in my life did I say ring an ambulance. Never. And then I went, call an ambulance. Ambulance couldn't get there. And got into the car and went over to Portage. Ended up I had a kidney stone. But one of the shards of the kidney stone was also after sticking into my urethra valve. That was after hemorrhaging a bit. And I ended up having to go get a needle stuck in. And then I had to get up to Nace Hospital. Or
Yeah.
something. And anyway, next
Painful
morning,
procedure.
on drugs, right? I'm on morphine, fucking savage stuff. Should be over the counter. And the doctors came in the next morning. I'm a little bit drugged up, and he had a couple of trainees with him. And I was supposed to be in a private room because I pay private health insurance, but I wasn't. I was around everyone, so that's their fault, not mine. And they said, right, it's not a fierce hard surgery, but we just go up through your urethra. And I went, that's my dick hole. And he was there, well, we call it urethra. And he was there, well, how big is it? And he goes, oh, it's about that big. I said, that's not going to fit. And he goes, oh, we'll make it fit. I woke up, I'm not joking. They'll stay in my dick. I thought it would never be right again. It's perfect now. It's perfect now.
We'll ask Vicky.
Little bit of a scar.
That's because I did some work on you, David.
Not my dick. You did not work on my dick.
Well, I call my work, right?
Right. My sister did not go near
I did.
my
I
dick.
came down to you.
But
I came
it
down to
had a-
visit you.
But when I woke up, they said you have to pass water before we can let you out. And there was a metal gauze in my dick hole, stopping it from, I don't know, sticking together or something. And when I was peeing, there was like blood clots coming out and everything. I was there thinking, God, Vicky, this is going to be bad. We're never going to have that third baby. I swear to God. I should have
Trauma.
jizzed in a jar before this happened. No, it's never going to be the same. But the doctor that done it told me, this is factual now, and she was a woman that had labour without any injection or anything, and she'd had the same thing happen, and she said that the pain I had was worse than labour.
Oh, go
Oh,
away,
Lord.
David.
I know exactly how women feel and more.
Do you?
You have no idea.
I'm just after explaining to you how I exactly know.
But David, would you
What?
go through that again?
Would I?
Yeah.
If there was drugs, yeah. The morphine was savage.
Would you like to go through that pain
No,
again?
I wouldn't. If
Okay.
lads were having babies, we'd have them.
Exactly.
We'd probably, but because we have big brains, we'd figure out a way of doing it without having to gestate them in our bellies.
Would you know?
Yeah, it'd probably be in our bags. It's outside our body. And then you could just cut the sack and it just fall out. I would push. Oh, stop.
Oh, Lord.
Where were we before we got into ghosts and dick holes?
We'll finish up on the ghost. So
No, I was just, where were we that we started talking about dick holes? It
Oh,
was you,
we
Elizabeth,
worked
again, wasn't
yeah,
it?
Lizzie, was you?
Yeah,
Elizabeth's
we were
always-
talking about the portals and
Yeah.
the ghosts
Oh,
and
yeah.
spirits. And yeah, Linda's house.
Portal opened up in Linda's house.
Yeah. And it was actually very serious what happened in your house.
Yeah.
I actually only had that twice more since.
Because what was happening was before that, the alarms, every time I walked by the alarms, or if you were walking by, the alarms just go off and then they turn off and then they go on and go off. But it was going on for a little while. But then when that happened, I was like,
It would frighten you, like.
Oh, it's not nice.
but none of the kids could have a bed, like, you know, sure.
So what caused it?
The portal opened or whatever.
A portal to another dimension. But you see, entities come through portals. A discarnate is a spirit, just a spirit of someone that dies, that don't pass within 90 hours. But a portal,
What do you mean? It doesn't pass?
just say someone dies,
Yeah.
right? It takes about 90 hours for the soul to leave the body.
That's slow.
And if the soul, yeah, well, it can take up to 90 hours, but if it doesn't leave in the 90 hours, if it's unhappy or if it was a happening, like an accident or something like that, it doesn't know what's going on. So it gets locked in between dimensions, right? So that's a discarnate. That's what you call it. You're not incarnated anymore. We're all incarnated here. So they're a discarnate. But when a portal opens, entities come through portals. So they're actually dark energy. They're not souls like the soul that would be in my body or your body. They're more dangerous. You know,
And can you
they're-
see someone's vibe before by looking at them?
I know by their aura. I know by, you just know. You just, you see, when I used to do the Reiki and the massage, right? When I put my hands out now, I'm in your energy, right? So your energy field is that far out, right? That's your space. And you can have openings and cracks in that space. And if you have, other people's energy is going to come in on top of you. So you're in their information. So when I do work on someone now, all I need is their date of birth and their name. And I can tap in and I know exactly what's going on in their life, from their feng shui to their spiritual, emotional, physical bodies. You know, so if someone has asthma, say, right? Well, that can be grief. It can be suppressed grief, or it can go back to past lives as asphyxiation, drowning.
That's fucking morbid.
Yeah. I know it sounds
Heavy.
weird, but we repeat and repeat and repeat.
So do you believe in reincarnation?
I do. Yeah. I do.
Do you, Sharon?
Mm. Well,
It's a bit deep, but I don't know.
Linda?
yeah.
I suppose, I think I do. I do.
I think that if someone dies that's close to you, and you'd like to know if they're gone on, to a better place, that their life wasn't, you know what I mean? It's nice because we have Lizzie to say, yeah, they are gone. I mean, I know you can't do it for so many hours, isn't it, Liz?
Yeah.
After they die, but it is nice to know, at least you have that little peace of mind saying they are gone and you know they're in the right place, that they're not still hovering around looking for something. Because if, like Elizabeth says, if they get killed in a car crash or they die instantly, they don't know they're dead.
Mm.
So you're waiting for that to...
They're confused.
But it's nice to know that someone that has passed on, they're watching over you as well. Like when I get SRT done, Granny Heffernan is always with me, Mammy's mother.
Yeah.
She's always watching over me.
You feel that?
Well, I think myself now, like, I mean, I know from you, like, telling me, like, you know, but I just think she died on the day of my birthday. Do you know what I mean? So,
No, you have a connection with Granny.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's mad, as I've got older and I've got into reading some weird shit, it's like I think, you know, when you listen to stuff about quantum physics and anything that energy that doesn't have mass is infinite, lasts forever. You know, like dark energy and, you know, when you get into a quantum realm. And an energy that doesn't have mass would be thoughts, which would be consciousness. So I'd be fascinated with consciousness, you know, because the basics of all physics is, you know, energy can't be created or destroyed, it just passes from one form to another.
But
So I
you can
think
transmute it. You know, you can transmute the negative energy into good energy. You have to transmute it into something. You know,
I
you
think-
don't, when you clear, just say there's a spirit locked in somewhere in a house and it tends to do harm or whatever, you know, break things or whatever. Well, you can ask spirit just to send that soul on. You know, then they're not locked in
who's
anymore.
the boss spirit that you're talking to?
What?
Who's the boss spirit?
The boss spirit is my spiritual committee. So everybody, all of us have a guardian angel. Everybody has a guardian angel. And as soon as your soul comes into the fetus, how would I say it? The soul comes into the fetus and then the spiritual committee come in and they protect that fetus until it comes out, of course. And then it hangs around with you for all of your lifetime. But sometimes the soul in your body might not be supporting good things in your life. It can support illness, it can support divorce, it can support, you know, it comes in to repeat a pattern that it was repeating before. So just say someone gets divorced, right? And the woman that's divorced is all upset and, you know, lonely and your man is off having a great time. So when that girl comes to me, I will make sure all vows, contracts are cleared from past lives so that she's no longer saying, oh, I made a vow. I'm locked into this vow. So you free up the soul and you free the memories from the soul from past lives. So what you're doing is you're clearing the soul of all negative programming and you're downloading positive programming so that the person can have a better life, and you're clearing the active memories and the body memories, and things are getting easier for that person then when they can move on.
Do you ever have anyone in that situation you'd say, if you wanted such a cunt, you'd be still married? Must
I'd
be one or two.
I'd be very discreet, David. No, but really and truly, it can be very, very traumatic for people. And once you clear the memories, even people now that get
So do you
raped.
not believe in God?
I do, yeah. I have a spiritual committee. But my spiritual committee is tapped into God. You tap into the Godhead before you actually start work.
So do you believe God as in God, like, what
If
is
you
God to you?
God is the Godhead energy, the God overall. Buddha, every religion, to me, is just a belief in something, right? Everyone has to have a belief in something. So when I do my charts, before I start, I make sure I'm tapped into the Godhead. And I literally say, Spirit and I are one, or the Father and I are one. And sometimes if something's really hard to clear, the one way we'll get it done is in Jesus' name. And the man that taught us, say, body talk, he said, now I know you're all going to go mad over this, but I'm telling you, he said, I know a lot of you aren't religious, but in Jesus' name you can do anything and you can clear the worst of spirits.
Well, I've always said it. Baby Jesus is my favourite Jesus of all
Well,
time. No one's going to tell me any different.
Hang on to him.
No one's going to tell me any different. And
But it is.
what about the auras and all that? So when you first time you met this man here, what aura do you see?
He reminds me of Eamon.
Yes.
Eamon Killalay.
Friend of
He
Elizabeth.
is so, I'm telling you, you're like his brother. Now, he's passed on. He was one of our best
Jesus,
men.
that's Marvin.
He was lovely. No, he was lovely. You're very, very like him. Isn't he, Martina?
Definitely.
Image. Yeah. So when I can't really, because what I do, right, is I don't make up my mind on anything. I ask on the charts. I have a pendulum, right? And on the with the pendulum, I say how long to prep you to work. So if it said 3 or 4, you have blocks and interferences and negative motivations and openings in your aura. You see, everybody thinks that they have 4 bodies: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. But we have 32 bodies. So we're so much more than just
Thank God we don't have to dress them.
we're so much more than just a human. We're not humans. We're spiritual beings inhabiting this body. We're actually our souls. The soul never dies.
There's a
The
saying,
soul goes, but doesn't come back.
You're not a human having a spiritual experience. You're a spirit having a human experience.
Yes, exactly. And we're in a big school room here. And
Matrix.
yeah, and whatever and
Neo.
you go through a hard time in life, it's actually to teach you something. It's not to bring you down. It's to make you stronger. You know, so your what would you call it? That experience you had, David. You probably learned a lot from it.
Yeah, but how come you, like, with that kind of stuff, would you never be dying to do, like, DMT or, like, mushrooms or...
No, I wouldn't. I don't need to. I don't. You see, look, back years ago, I would have been. I hated school, as you know. I hated school, every aspect of school, and I'd be very good. I hate maths, but I'm brilliant at numerology.
What's that?
Numerology, you know, numbers, power numbers, and remember I was saying 22 was your house. 22 is foundations. The number of David's house was 22, and now he's after buying a car with 22 on it, right? So
I always
twos.
end up with the twos.
Good
but
foundation,
two-
David.
Yeah, but twos, you see, like numbers kind of follow you around,
But
you
it's
know?
funny, years ago, Elizabeth is my godmother,
Mm.
and years ago, back, like, before I ever done a video or ever had a phone, Elizabeth used to say mad things to me.
Yeah.
She used to say, "Oh, you're gonna be famous, and
Yeah.
you're gonna."
I always
do all
told
this
David
stuff.
he was going to be famous, yeah.
Because you always were a character and you were always very funny.
It's not for you didn't tell me not to be a fucking eagle for so long.
No, I
You have to go through that, David.
Yeah,
You have to learn by your
David was
mistakes.
always very flamboyant. You know, very flamboyant, very different.
Gay.
Like when he'd come home, when we'd go home in the evening times, David could be doing something in our house. He'd have eyeliner on him, and the girls got such
I
a.
never had eyeliner.
You had eyeliner on. You were painting our house one evening.
Remember, it was the black paint.
You were painting
Oh, I
our
was messing.
house.
There's
And
a
he
big
had-
difference. See,
Yeah,
you have
but-
to be clear when you're having conversations like
He had-
this. 'Cause
oh.
now everyone there is like, "Oh, Cuddy wore fucking eyeliner."
The
No, he
hair
didn't.
was all down like this, all here at one side, and the eyeliner on him. He was so, and that was brilliant. He was like a goth, you know. But it was very
Oh, my
good.
God. I did have weird hair.
Your
But
hair
it's
was
only
lovely.
because I didn't care.
But you were right. But I always knew, because when David was very, very young, say he was doing his leaving cert. Do you remember you came down to in the new house now? You came down one day after painting the face of a horse.
Yeah.
I was just blown away by that. He did it with a pencil, and I wanted David to go to art college. Do you remember that? I used
He
to
was
say,
very
David,
good,
you
yeah.
need to go
Yeah.
to art college.
And in school, that's all I was working towards.
Yeah.
Because I was shit at maths, and I was shit at Irish, and the only thing I was good at was
Art.
art.
brilliant at
and
art.
stuff like that. But my whole perception changed in leaving cert. You know, the accident.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very. But that's what I'm saying, David. That changed you.
yeah, there was a
'Cause was it
in
happening?
my class? There was
Yeah.
a few people
Killed.
on our leaving cert. There was 5 people killed from around our community in one
One
crash. It was a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And it just when you're young and you think you're gonna live forever, and then it hits you like a freight train. Oh, any of us could die. You kind of go, and it's so easy, especially for young men. You can get very not care about life and what's the point. You can get very nihilistic very easy. That's a dangerous road as a young lad. You know,
That's
I
why
think
you
and
should live your life to the fullest.
yeah, but when you're 16, 17, you should be thinking about the future as
Yes.
well. You know, not just living for the day.
Yeah.
knocked
you know,
you,
there's a happy medium. So you kind of go, ugh, fuck it. Yeah,
But it brings you into an awareness, like, you know, of how fragile life is.
it is.
And, you know, when someone passes as well, there's no time in spirit. You know, so if somebody dies 30 years ago, it's like yesterday to them. You know, there's no time.
Are you afraid of dying?
Me. I'm not afraid of dying. No, I'm not. Because I know, like, that I'll just go off. and I'll come
I
back.
want another 10 or 20 years. It's rare.
Get the kids up.
I'm
you
the
know.
same. I'd like to live until I was I'd like to live until I'm healthy to stay living. But if I'm not healthy, I'd rather just die.
Put me down.
I
I'd
don't
be
want
the
anybody
same.
to have to mind me or look
Yeah.
after me. I do not want my kids to have to do that for me.
There's nothing like a good heart attack when they're ready to go.
Yeah.
No, I think just
And that's
that
it.
when you get to a certain age, if you feel you're not able to go anymore, they should be able
Yeah.
to give you that injection to let you.
Yeah, I
Go on.
totally believe in it.
Well, I don't ever want to die, and while I'm coherent, I want to upload myself to the Neuralink, and I want to be sent off in some sort of rocket or satellite off into
Mars.
the universe. Mars.
The further off you go, the
Further
younger
off.
you'll get.
As far as I can go. Yeah. But yeah, girls, that was great. I think when you're talking to your family, you could talk all day long.
That's true.
But I thought it was only fair to get the girls in because everyone was saying, "Oh, you don't care about your sisters." And I love all my sisters.
We love
you-
you too.
And we
David.
love you.
Ah, go on.
You know we
do.
do.
David, you're great. You're brilliant. We love you.
Do you remember?
Stroke his ego.
But I've let you down so many times though.
You never let us down.
Do you remember when was it? Was it March 21st?
Yeah.
I boxed one of Paddy's friends just for half nothing, like.
I know, oh yeah. Asher, listen, like everyone does stupid things and they're veering them, like, you know what I mean? Like, but Asher, listen, that was back then, like, you know.
Forgive and forget.
Forgive and forget. But anyway, that was great, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all next week. Say good luck, girls.
See you.
Bye
Bye.
bye,
now.
Good
everybody.
luck.